we don't have to keep people walled up from getting out. People are trying to get in, and they're getting in every way they possibly can. Now, what are we faced with? Well, talk to you about our debt, talk to you about how the government's taken over everything, and we're now at a time where we spent $780 billion last year on a stimulus package that since then has seen a decline in jobs of 2.7 million jobs. We've done nothing to incentivize the creation of private sector jobs. Over 50% of the union members out there are government union members. Half the people in this country don't pay taxes. How long will it take before our economy can no longer sustain itself because it's thriving off itself? We're stifling productivity. If we don't go out there and try to use tax credits, tax breaks to incentivize the production of private sector jobs, where is your future? You know, it scares me when I talk to my children and they say, you know, well, what should I do? Go work for the government. They're the ones that are hiring. They're the ones that have the best legacy benefits. They're the ones that you can retire in 20 years. But it's not the way our country was founded. It's not the way our country became its dominant force in the world economy. You see, if this government that we have today had existed back at the turn of the century, we may never have been able to have seen Henry Ford perfect the internal combustion engine on an assembly line and see automobiles be perfected. The EPA would have shut them down. God only knows what would have happened to Edison in trying to do the incandescent light bulb. But you see, we had a desire for creativity, for innovation, for people to get out there and do what they thought they were best able to do. Healthcare. Let me tell you something, guys. I know people will say, because from a political perspective, people who say, well, healthcare is an absolute right, because you cannot decline. You should never, as a good Samaritan, deny anybody quality health care. No, I agree with you. We should not ever. And we are charged as a moral society, as a civil moral society, of making sure that we take care of those who can't take care of themselves, not that government actually has to be the one to do that. But more importantly, when it comes to health care, what we really need is accessible health care that is affordable. Because I can't force you to go to a doctor. I can't force you to buy an insurance policy. I can't allow you to have the best product available by way of competition when it comes to a health insurance product or a medical provider's services. I can tell you, as a lawyer, that if we're going to talk about health care, we better look at tort reform. We better look at reducing the cost of litigation, because the defense of medicine in this country is costing each doctor over $50,000 a year just to make sure that they're not going to get sued. And most importantly, if we're going to talk health care, let's go back to one of our principles about personal responsibility, and let's talk about wellness. Let's talk about those conditions that we know we can control. I can control my obesity. Now, I don't want any comments on that yet, because I'm still working on it. But I can control whether or not I smoke. I can control certain things in my life to make sure that I keep my body where it ought to be so that I can be healthy. And I shouldn't have to bear the brunt of an expense for somebody who chooses not to do that just because they're on a policy that I share. We've got to incentivize the rewarding of wellness. You know, a couple of little things that we talked about in the past is to allow insurance companies to sell products across state lines. I don't want to bore you with this, but I'm just, if you gave more consumers choices, you would see more competition, and with more competition comes stability, and with more stability comes a better product. And I want to just give you a case in point. When we're talking about regulated products, look at telecommunications. You guys are a little bit young to remember this, but it wasn't long ago we'd have these little bricks that were cellular telephones that you'd carry around, and you'd have to find the right spot to get into, and then you'd pay $900 for the phone and hope that it could get through. But everybody would go to dinner and they'd have theirs on the table because they wanted to show off their status and they had a cellular phone. They practically give you a cellular phone today just so that you buy the service. But as a result of the competition, as a result of the demand, as a result of the innovation in technology, I have a phone that can do just about everything that a computer on Apollo 11 did when it went to the moon, which is absolutely phenomenal. But we did it because we incentivized that type of creativity, that type of innovation. Okay, so I'm not telling you that things are bad on the horizon. I'm just telling you that if we don't get you guys engaged, if you don't get out there and get involved, then we're going to leave you the debt that we shouldn't leave you. We're going to leave you the social problems that we never should leave you. And we're going to leave you a little bit of a bleak future. You know, it's been said that, well, a lot of people in my generation did this, and I'm just not interested in politics. Politics is interested in you, and it's interested in your wallet, and it's interested in your vote. You have an obligation to get involved. Maybe to teach that former generation a lesson, but you have an obligation. Now, let me leave you just some qualities that I find. You see, leadership to me is more than a title. I was elected once, they gave me a title. And it didn't mean anything other than that I had a title in front of my name and a title on my wall, and people that take my calls would call me by that title, and I felt like I was a leader. But leadership is actually not a title. It's an exercise. It's an exercise of what you do based on the circumstances around you. Crises gives rise to true leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, we are truly at some crisis levels in many ways, and we're waiting to see our leaders come forward. And leaders can come forward at any age, at any time. But I jotted down some of the things that I thought were attributes of leadership, and I wanted to share these with you, and then I'll close and take some questions if you'd like. The first one is perseverance. The ability to persist despite hardship and opposition. I mean, you look at somebody like Abraham Lincoln. I think he lost 7 elections. He lost business. I mean, you talk about a guy who personified persistence. Who was Abraham Lincoln? Second one, personal conviction. And this one I kind of like because this is where you really have to believe in something. We can all get out there and say, okay, well, I'm for so-and-so because everybody else is for so-and-so. That's why. And I believe that, you know, we ought to have hybrid cars because everybody else believes we ought to have hybrid cars. Have a personal conviction that's based on substance. Know whether what you have, believe in what you have to contribute, whether it is a parent, business leader, employer, or student. You go about things with the assurance of success. You have the personal conviction of what you're doing is right because you understand what you are doing and you know that this is what you need to be doing. The third, curiosity. It's the kid in each one of us. It's the kid in you guys right now, it's the kid in me, and it keeps asking why. Why? Why are we doing it? Got in the legislature and I said, we've always done it this way. That's why we do it. Well, that isn't right. Curiosity. The fourth one, resilience, which is really kind of neat because you see success is so much a part of failure. And if you don't have resilience, you can't really bounce back from failure. It was Vince Lombardi who said that, you know, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, what matters is how many times you get back up. Because you got to be resilient.